For our international audience, what kind of economic challenges did Venezuelans face leading up to Maduro being brought to the U.S., and how long had that been going on?
Let me be clear, Elaine. What Venezuela was facing up to a few days ago capture was nothing short of a catastrophe. The GDP has contracted over 80% since 2014. The poverty rate hovers around 80 to 90%. Hyperinflation now around 220%. It was even higher. That's the expectation for 2026. So everything was catastrophic. Supply chain issues, the currency devaluing over 80% against the dollar just last year, 2025. So it was catastrophic. Who is to blame for this economic catastrophe? There's only a single one responsible, and that is the Venezuelan government, which through mismanagement, corruption, patronage, brought this once great economy, one of the largest in Latin America's and one of the largest oil reserve holders and producers in the world, to the ground. Someone could blame U.S. sanctions, but U.S. sanctions only started in 2014. In 2015, they were targeted. Then in 2019, they were broader to perceive human rights and political rights violations. But it is clear that the single-handedly responsible for the economic catastrophe that the Venezuelan people is suffering is the Venezuelan government under Maduro. And this started around. Yeah.
Inaki, walk us through some of the immediate reactions and the impact on locals. You know, we've seen some video from Venezuela, people going to the supermarkets. What can you tell us about supply there? What has been happening on the ground there today?
I think, Elaine, that what we're seeing in the news, the videos of as you say, the long lines in the supermarket is nothing but a short-term, immediate, and very rational precautionary reaction by the Venezuelan people against a perceived heightened uncertainty because of the security situation. And also the potential of the Venezuelan government of weaponizing food supply chains to punish the population for what they perceive as a rebellious stance against the current Venezuelan administration. As to what concrete effect do the military strikes have on the supply chains of food? It is very assuredly limited, since these strikes were very targeted. They were restrained to military objectives. It wasn't a broad shock and awe campaign as what we saw in the past in Iraq or Afghanistan. It was a very limited, very restrained response, military response by the U.S. government. So the effect of that in the actual food or the daily lives of Venezuelans, it's not high. But it is certain that Venezuelans, as they are, very fearful of any cascading effects or the reaction of the Venezuelan government or any further disruptions, they are taking precautionary measures if the situation would escalate or worsen in the following weeks or months.
Yeah, I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen in the immediate future. There's still a lot to wait and see. Talk to us about the impact that oil plays in terms of economic growth and jobs. I mean, it could be a long time before this country sees any kind of turnaround.
Certainly. The state of the Venezuelan oil industry is calamitous. Due to a combination of factors, of course, the past cycles of decline in the oil prices after the subprime crisis in 2008, then in the cycle between 2014 and 2016, then again during COVID 2020, they have taken repeated hits against the oil industry. Besides that, political patronage, mismanagement, corruption has driven the once historic oil industry in Venezuela to the ground. The national oil company, PDVSA, it's basically now just a parasitic associate or partner with foreign firms which continue to operate in Venezuela. It is a heavily reliant industry in foreign investment, foreign technology, foreign management, foreign human capital. The nationalization of the oil industry or the national pride that the oil industry brings is pretty much a marketing stunt. It is still highly managed by foreign operators. And also the Venezuelan oil has a very particular characteristics. It's a very high concentration of sulfurs. It's a very heavy oil. Not many refineries are prepared to process it. And in that sense, the entry of the United States into the Venezuelan oil industry with heavy investment, and also with the reconnection and the resupply of the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico refineries in the southeast and the south center of the United States, would certainly aid in a revamping of the oil industry in Venezuela. Also, the remigration of expelled workers due to political prosecution in the past years and everything could revamp the industry, but it'll certainly take a few years to get back to those historic numbers of producing 3.7 million barrels per day. Now it stands short of a million, 900,000 barrels per day. It's 25% of what it used to be at its peak.
We heard some glowing words, some optimism from U.S. President Donald Trump saying that he talked to all of the major companies in the United States about what can be done in Venezuela. Talk to us about the reaction in the Americas about what President Trump is proposing.
So the reaction is very varied. As you know, I'm in Argentina. Argentina was one of the largest receivers and hosts of Venezuelan migrants after the huge migratory crisis in the late 2010s, early 2020s. Here, the reactions were nothing short of jubilous. There were demonstrations in the obelisk. Throughout the Americas, the reactions have been very positive because of the large Venezuelan diaspora, as in the United States. Certain national governments, which are mostly inclined to the left, as Mexico, as Colombia, as Brazil, have been critical of the reaction, although they haven't been supportive of the Maduro regime itself. In general, there's a positive reaction across the Americas. Of course, there remains the uncertainty of how we go from here, right? The American administration, the administration of Donald Trump, has said that they want to have a direct stake in the control and the management of Venezuela in the near future, but they have also left in place almost the entirety of the Venezuelan government structure so far. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, the Minister of Defense Vladimiro Padrino Lopez, and even Diosdado Cabello, one of the worst figureheads of authoritarianism in Venezuela. This is very likely a precautionary measure, or if you would like to say an insurance policy against further civil unrest. But certainly they've sent a clear message. They want the Venezuelan government to cooperate. They've sent a message that no one is beyond U.S. reach and beyond U.S. power. And I think that we're going to find the Venezuelan administration a key inclination to negotiate and cooperate with the U.S. Government in order to procure a smooth transition of power.